Hey, great.
I'm a bell ringing cat.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm that scallywag
Welcome to the November 27th meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville and also the Kiwanis Club of Louisville. I'm Luke Schmidt, President of the Rotary Club and President of L.B. Schmidt Associates. To lead us in our invocation today is Steve Jester, the pastor and head of staff at Second Presbyterian Church, and Paul Harris Development.
Thank you, Luke. The invocation for today is actually a prayer of thanksgiving, and with our theme today of gratitude, that would be appropriate, and with tomorrow's events. It's taken from a collection of prayers from the Iona community. Iona is a small island off the west coast of Scotland, an ancient site of Celtic Christianity. And this prayer is taken from a collection of that community's prayers. So, let's pray. Lord of life, we celebrate your countless gifts. In days and nights, in rainbows and rain, in touch, dream, and smile, in partners who love, in kids who cuddle, in grannies who listen, in friends who care, in dogs that lick, in hands that sew, in food on the table. Yet above all, in your presence among us, calling our names, enfolding our lives, inviting us home. Amen.
Thank you, Steve. And now to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and also the four-way test is Willie Billingsley. Willie is the District Manager of Budget Services and Supplies. Willie.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test.
Is the truth, is fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Willie. Please remain standing. As I think many people know, it's customary for the Kiwanis Club of Louisville to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee at each of their meetings. So in honor of our country, the holiday, and this fellowship that we enjoy today, would you please join me in an a cappella singing of verse 1, My Country 'Tis of Thee. And I'm counting on you.
My country is of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Wow, we did that.
Now, I'd like to take just a moment.
You really ought to come to the Lord.
You know, really thankful for this dedication to our club. So when I call your name, if you would please stand up. First, our officers. Julie Schmidt is our president-elect. Barry Barker is our immediate vice president. I don't know if Barry's here today. Maria Smith, our vice president. Chris Whalen, the secretary. And Tony Coffey, our treasurer. So, there he is. A round for our officers. Now I'd like to introduce our board of directors, Steve Akers, Walt Kuno, please stand if you're here, Gene West-Lasavio, Kevin Lynch, Larry Sloan, Julie Skoski, Barry Allen, and Barbara Sexton-Smith. And again, thanks to our board members. I also want to thank our executive director, Alyssa Evans-Torino, for her leadership and her many contributions to our club throughout the year. Alyssa, please stand. typically a time in our meeting when we introduce guests, and so those people who are here today who are not currently members of the Rotary or the Kiwanis Club, if you would please stand together so that we can acknowledge your presence. Any guests today? Not a member of Rotary, not a member of Kiwanis. We also have a special guest that I'd like to introduce, and he may be introduced twice, and that's Mark Garman. Mark is the past governor of the Kentucky-Tennessee Kiwanis District of Kiwanis International. Mark, so if you're a guest and would like to learn more about joining our Rotary Club, I invite you to please see Craig Sherman at our What is Rotary table. There's Craig right here. Craig will be at the table. Yeah. Craig will be at our What is Rotary table, which is right outside the front door, near the registration table, right after the meeting for a brief orientation and introduction to Rotary, so that you can learn more about joining our Fellowship of Leaders. Our club is the 14th largest Rotary club in the world out of 36,000 Rotary clubs worldwide. We're a club of 430 business, professionals, nonprofit organizations, and community leaders. And we're also a club that embraces diversity and we welcome candidates for membership who hold a senior position in their company or organization and young professionals who are emerging leaders here in Louisville. Out of our respect for our joint meeting of the Kiwanis Club, as well as giving our speakers plenty of time, we will share only a few announcements today that are significant to our club as we near December. Our announcer today is Maggie Harlow, co-owner of Yesco Louisville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, announcements. Nominations for Lifetime Service Award must be received in the Rotary office by tomorrow. So don't forget. Our Rotary Promise Scholar Program is recruiting mentors for the December 3rd sessions. Please let Walt Kuno know if you can volunteer, and I highly recommend it. Get registered for the Rotary Club Holiday Party to be held on Wednesday, December 4th at the Louisville Boat Club. Cocktail hour will begin at 6 p.m. Festivities will start at 7, and you can go for a swim around maybe 8. Is that right? Registration is now open for bell ringing with the Salvation Army. You can sign up for this by the registration table or online, and for more information, contact George Brackmeyer. There will be no lunch meeting next week. Our annual holiday party at the Louisville Boat Club will serve as next week's meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Luke.
Thank you, Maggie. And now I'd like to invite Mike Gould to the stage. Mike's going to introduce a video about the impact that we make when we give to the Rotary Foundation. Mike really needs no introduction as a retired food service executive, past president, past district governor, lifetime service award recipient, charter member of the 1912 Society, and the Paul Harrison Fellows. Please welcome Mike Gould.
Thank you, Luke. Today we conclude the presentations about how your gifts help the Rotary Foundation to do good here and around the world. This video today features a project which is like what the Rotary Club of Paducah and 7 other clubs in Western Kentucky did with the Rotary Club of Lusaka Central in Zambia. Their global grant in Zambia, which your contribution supported, helped 381 primary school students and 16 teachers secure 130 tablets and 16 computers, plus the digital local curriculum in a fee-based schools that do not receive government support in Zambia. Today you're going to see a video from the island of Fiji that is a similar project. Over the last 5 weeks, you've seen just a small amount of what your gifts to the Rotary Foundation accomplish each year. We ask that every Rotarian contribute a minimum of $100 to the Rotary Foundation each year. If you have, I say thanks to you. If not, I urge you to do so. Thank you very much.
Fiji is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's a place where there's serenity and beauty, a wonderful lifestyle, and fantastic people.
Yes, it's part of the third world, but it's developing and growing up quite quickly. Tabiini is a very subsistence economy, and basically the government is the largest employer on the island.
Our children, when they leave high school, there's a lot of use of technology. I became concerned because our children in this school, they are not exposed to such things. I have been advised by the Ministry of Education that I should speak to a person called Jeffrey, is the president of Rotary Tagooni, if I come across some need in the school.
If these students are to compete in the world today, they must be computer literate. And on an island like Tabiini, the opportunity for them to be computer literate is very, very limited. And they'll just slip further and further behind unless we do it.
We're part of the digital learning room team. And we wanted to start off by just saying thank you very much for having us here. My name is Kelsey, and I live in New Zealand, although I'm originally from Canada. I'm a Rotary Scholar at the University of Auckland. I'm the project coordinator for kind of the on-the-ground work. We came here to bring 70 tablets. Through a lot of fundraising on the part of Rotary, Rotary International, the Rotary Foundation, we were able to receive a really large grant. The idea was that you could bring books to a school. You know, you could have a library of books that you bring with you, and that could take suitcases and suitcases, and it would cost a lot of money, and then if it got damp, the books would get moldy. Who wants one first? Anybody? You? Yeah, all right. But instead of that, we could bring this tablet technology. We could bring these small things that within them hold a world of information. And it can take these young people to places far beyond the classroom.
And you will see students there are slide command lock and then an arrow pointing towards the right, right? So just slide your finger across and you will come to the home screen. All of you managed to do that? Very good.
So let's see, can anyone find the camera app? Somebody already found it. That's amazing. And then I want you to take a picture of the person next to you. They can help them interact with, skeletons, with the body. They can help them interact with cells, with science, with mathematics, with coloring and drawing and filming their own culture. There's not a lot of content out there on Fiji, but these young people can help create that. They can film themselves and make their own Fijian content. We think it's so important to have that connection with the local community so that we know that this project, that these tablets, this technology is what they really want.
Okay, I'd like for you to take 2 minutes, explore. Explore the cell, try to familiarize yourself with some of the organelles that we have studied. And after this, we'll have a pop quiz.
Ultimately, it's not about me, it's not about Rotary, it's not about, what we want to do or what we think is best. It's about what they need to empower their own community so that they can create positive changes for the future.
I have a vision that we will be the first school that is going to have one tablet per summer. And I believe with the assistance of Rotary International, we will get there.
Custodians, we want to thank you again for joining us for our Thanksgiving meeting. It's always a pleasure to enjoy this time with you. And it's now my pleasure to introduce the president of the Kiwanis Club of Lowell, Shelley Garland, and her remarks. Shelley.
Thank you, Luke, and the Rotary Club of Louisville for hosting our annual gathering to kick off the holiday season. As we begin our friendly competition, ringing the bell for the Salvation Army, we will not read our annual oath today. However, the mission is clear and present. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers of men and women who are dedicated to improving the world and our local community, one child and one community at a time. Members gather to enrich the lives of both children and adults. Kids of all ages, including elementary, middle, high school, college, and special needs adults benefit from Kiwanis. We are proud to have devoted members from each of these groups serving the community in our service leadership programs. On the international level, Kiwanis has partnered with UNICEF to rid the world of IDD, iodine deficiency disorder. Our current World Service project is Eliminate, partnering with UNICEF to eradicate neonatal tetanus. The Kiwanis Club of Louisville continues with many local service projects. Our signature project is Christmas is for Kids. This project, started 20 years ago, will happen on December 8th. We will be taking 600 Jefferson County Public School elementary kids shopping for school clothes and toys. December 19th, we will host our annual Christmas party for students at the Heiser Hearing Language Academy. All the children will receive Christmas gift, pizza party, and a visit from Santa. Next summer, we will be hosting our annual Doc Morgan Kiwanis Grand Slam race, starting at Slugger Field and running around Waterfront Park. And I did want to mention some of our Kiwanians that are with us today. Our club secretary, Jeff Smith. President-elect, Rick Schaeferman. Trustee, Bob Hardy. And our coordinator for our bell ringing, Ralph Behringer. And we also have poinsettia sale going on, and our coordinator is Ray Glass. And finally, as we're gearing up for the Red Kettle competition, I like these words from Steve Jobs. Everyone here has a sense that right now is one of those moments when we are influencing the future. Thank you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and on with the competition.
Thank you, Shelley. We're delighted to have you here today. And today, Jamesetta Roberts will be introducing our guest speaker. Jamesetta is President and CEO of the 40-in-1 Company.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. She doesn't speak outside of the pulpit very often, so this is a treat, you all. So I'm so excited. The Reverend Dr. Jamesetta Ferguson. For me, you never know where life is going to lead you. As a kid, her mother and my local church in my low-income neighborhood was my lighthouse. Fast forward 30 years, and I now have the pleasure of working for what was a mentor for me as a kid. But also, you also want to know, I'm Johnetta and she's Jamesetta. We serve on the same team, we confuse a lot of people. But let me tell you what, really she's me when I look into the future, and let me tell you all why. The needs of our community, you all, require a long-term commitment. It's not going to be easy to level the playing field in this city. So she is able to exhibit wisdom, patience, love for people, and she's very responsive on that need of a transformational project and leadership to change our communities for coming generations. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. So she is the pastor, the senior pastor of St. Peter's United Church of Christ, and she has held that position since 2007. She wears a lot of hats, and she often tells me that is the primary one, okay? So in addition to that, she leads the church's vision to plant and cultivate seeds of necessity through spiritual guidance and community partnerships. She continuously seeks opportunities to educate, inform, and empower the congregation, but also, more importantly, her congregation sits in the heart of the Russell neighborhood in West Louisville, which is quickly evolving, but also has a lot of challenges. To me, she also has a lot of qualities that you can't get in school. But she also values education as I go through this list. She's a graduate of Central State University, where she received her bachelor's. She also has a master's of education, and she also has a Master of Divinity degree and a Doctor of Ministry. So thankful for all of that in her toolbox. She's also an author, so after today you can read her book, Urban Ministry, Revitalizing a Church and Impacting Community. She published that in 2016, and it's a 7-week program to help those re-entering society with Christian principles, nurturing, accountability, and mentoring. Finally, where I come in, she's also a nonprofit leader. She established Molo Village Community Development Corporation in 2011, and it's also established in the heart of the Russell neighborhood in the West End. And when you hear about the work, I am not going to steal her thunder, you'll see how much work she's doing to change lives, but you will also hear about a real estate project that we haven't seen in that community in over 25 years. So we're very proud of her expansive work. And somehow she manages to have a family. Her wonderful husband, Levy, is here. She has 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and right now 4 dogs at her house. 2 are hers and 2 are guest dogs. And when you think about her nonprofit, the name of it is Molo. In the South African dialect, it means welcome. So when you come through her doors, and I hope you all are challenging yourself to maybe come visit with her, it means welcome in the South African dialect, but help me to welcome her today with a round of applause. And what you'll find about her, she loves to be amongst the people, and she's going to be amongst the people today, and she's going to walk the floors and share with you about Molo Village and her work. Let's welcome her.
Good afternoon. First, thank you to the officers and members of the Rotary Club, and also the officers and members of the Kiwanis Club for opening up this space so that I can share the story of Molo Village with you. I also want to give a shout out to Alice Bridges, because she extended the invitation to me, and she has shown herself to be a friend of the residents of Russell through her work with the Choice Initiatives. And then Johnetta, who is a Molo board member, thank you for that gracious introduction. Now, I'm going to try to keep this brief. I'm a preacher, so I can talk all day long, but I'm going to keep it short. Our title for our talk this afternoon is called to help set the captives free. And this is taken from the Christian Bible, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 4:18. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim the captives will be released, that the blind will see, that the oppressed will be set free." This text, Jesus was in the temple in Nazareth, and he was asked to read
from the scriptures, and he opened the book to the book of Isaiah, and he read this particular scripture, and then he closed it, and he stated, I am he, I am he. And so you might wonder, why is it that I use this scripture, and what does this have to do with your theme of grace? Grace. Grace, unmerited favor. Grace, undeserved favor. Grace that helps us to realize that the privilege that we have today is because of grace. Not because we're so good and kind, not because we're so wonderful, but because of grace, that undeserved favor. In my Christian tradition, the Apostle Paul states, there go I, except for the grace of God, which means that our lives could change just like that. Just like that, the privileges that we have can change in the twinkling of an eye. And so today, in the 21st century, the term of grace has become pay it forward. Pay it forward. So I want to share with you today the story of Molo Village and how we do the work of grace in the Russell community. But I need to give you a historical context to do that. St. Peter's United Church was initially the German Lutheran church that was formed in 1847. In 1894, it moved to what is now known as the Russell community. And in its heyday, it had over 1,200 German-American members. But as times changed and as institutional barriers began to happen in the West End, the membership started to decline. And so much so that by the time I arrived in 2006, that membership had dwindled to 15 senior adult members. They were doing ministry inward and not outward. Inward, but not outward. Let me put that another way. This church was in the community, but the community was not in the church. And so after 6 months of sacred conversation, we opened the doors in 2006. And people started to come through the doors, and we realized that there were complex issues that our residents were dealing with. They were dealing with food insufficiency. They were dealing with poor housing, lack of employment, alcohol and drug abuse. We were beginning to understand that there was a liquor store on every corner. There were multiple housing, but those houses were halfway houses, 2 or 3 in each neighborhood. We began to realize that for the 9,000 residents of Russell, there was one full-time grocery store. Imagine that. In Russell, with 9,000 residents, one sit-down restaurant. In Russell, that the payday lenders were the financial institutions of the community. And so before we knew it, we were serving some 750 to 1,000 residents weekly in our programs. And we began to realize that we were at capacity in the church, doing it the way that we needed to do it. So in 2011, we decided to restructure, pull the mission out of the church, and we began to act as a grassroots operation. Jamesetta already told you that Molo means welcome, welcome home. And we wanted to ensure that the members, the residents that came into our facility felt welcome to come to better their lives. So, 2011, Molo became a grassroots organization. We formed ourselves and began to apply a holistic approach to helping our residents with their complex issues. We established a mission statement. Molo's mission is to transform and empower and renew the lives of those that we serve through education, through community service, through advocacy, and through healthy living, giving individuals a voice in the community in which they lived. We came up with the vision to support the growth of healthy, engaged, and productive residents prepared to not only take themselves, but their families and their neighborhood to a path of prosperity. And so, in all of this, we organized ourselves into 5 villages. The first village being the restored village, where we do work with men and women who are returning to the community after being incarcerated. We began to do work in recovery support groups so that those men and women who are suffering from alcoholism or drug addiction have a place that they can easily come and get the support that they need to conquer that addiction. We established an empowered village, which is where we partner with the United Church of Christ Building and Loan Fund to provide credit and wealth building opportunities for our residents. And we also began to envision how we could provide economic development into our community. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. We established the Isiduku village, which means wisdom, where our senior adults in the community could come and get a hot meal provided by Metro Community Resilience Agency, but also have a place where they could come and have socialization and feel safe and just have fellowship. We established the Future Village for our youth, where Metro Louisville has established a community lab, but we also have the annual Molo Festival, which is in its 10 years, supported by the City Council of our area. We then established the Healthy Village because we are in a community that struggles with poor health and with a lack of education, and we know that without education, the people do what? They perish. And so in 2018, we, through these 5 villages, have touched the lives of 832 different individuals. We still manage to see 500 to 600 people a week. And so through our programming, however, we have touched some 832 lives in 2018. All of this is done basically through volunteerism. 5,082 volunteer hours, equivalent to almost 2.5 full-time positions. We have space at St. Peter's where we share space, and it's inadequate space, but we share it because we want to help as many people as possible. We've had 2 positions through the AmeriCorps Vista, but that ended this week, to be exact. And so we are excited about the work that we are doing, but we needed to expand our location so that we can do more work. And so I mentioned that in the Empowered Village that we were doing some economic development. And I am so excited. I feel like running around the room a little bit right now because last week we received our last leg of funding for the village at West Jefferson Street. We are helping in the revitalization of the Russell neighborhood by having a financial investment of $7.9 million. We know that it's been over 25 years since it's been that type of economic development in our community. We know that right now, some $95 million flows outside of the Russell community. Why? Because people have to go elsewhere to get the things that they need. They need clothing, they need food, they need all of these things. And so therefore they go outside of the community. But with an investment like this, we believe that it will have an economic impact where $27 million will flow back into the Russell community, where 102 jobs will be created, but more importantly, where resources will come that are so lacking in the community. We are right now 70% pre-leased, where we have a health clinic and a coffee shop coming. Molo will actually have space where we can expand our services and have a computer lab where children can come and not have to navigate between the church doing its events and anything else that's going on in our current location. We have other service providers coming into our facility, so we are excited that we are a part of the economic development and the revitalization of Russell. That is how you help to set the captives free. It's not just about going there and doing the work. It's about doing the work with intent of helping people to become better. So what is it that we're going to do in 2020 through 2023? We're going to continue to contribute to the Russell community. We're going to continue to encourage the people, the residents that have worked so hard and sacrificed to continue to come back so that they can benefit by the new opportunities that are in Russell. One more. And we're going to continue to engage and support the men and women who are coming out of corrections, out of prison, because we want them to be productive citizens in the Russell community. And so, what about Molo's capacity? Well, we're small, but we're growing. We have strong partners who have committed to help us grow the Russell community. We have lined up tenants that we feel that are going to be a positive resource to our community, not resources that are going to take away from the community, but that are going to build up the community. We will have a space where we can come and grow, but we also will have a space where we can provide long-term solutions to what is needed in Russell. And so the question becomes, how can you help to set the captives free? How can you help? Well, you can help by showing grace to those who are held in bondage. You can remember that where go I except for the grace of God? All of us have been held captive to something at one time or another. And so it's very, it would do us well to remember that just with the snap of a finger, our lives could change. But then, more importantly, you can help set the captives free by paying it forward. Paying it forward with your time and your talents and your treasures to make a difference for those who are held captive to their circumstances. The people in Russell, they did not choose many of the situations that they find themselves in. Those situations have been forced upon them. And so we can make a difference. You can make a difference. And I invite each of you to join in the village, because it takes a village. It takes a village to make a difference. It takes a village working together to help set the captives free. Thank you. Are there any questions? Oh, y'all made it easy.
Thank you for being here today. My name is Devon Holt, and I had the benefit of hearing a good portion of what you're doing from Jamesetta recently, and I'm so impressed with what's happening there. My question to you is, how are you engaging the community in this phase of what's happening there in Russell? There clearly is a vision and a direction, and I think you'll probably walk out here with support from us here. But can you talk to us about the community itself and how they're engaged in what you're proposing there?
You would think that those in our community are building this building brick by brick. They are so excited because for many of them, they never thought they would have an opportunity to participate in anything like this. And so they are excited. We talk about it. We do fundraising the best that we can. Imagine being in a community where the average income is $15,000. $15,000. We're talking about the working poor. But these are the folk who are bringing in their spare change to help to build this building. And so they are excited about it. They are engaged. And I imagine when we break ground in January 2020, you're going to hear a bomb go off because of the number of people that have been praying for this type of economic development in their community. So they are engaged.
Thank you so much for being here today and your visionary leadership. Can you talk about the timeline for the building and how it dovetails with the Choice neighborhood and the Beecher Terrace redevelopment?
The timeline for the building is 10 to 12 months construction. We are fortunate enough to be 100% funded for the construction loan as well as the long-term loan. And so we are not anticipating any snags in getting the construction project complete. Now, our building will open probably 2 months after the initial construction of the senior building in the Russell community. If you were to drive down 9th Street, you will see construction of a high-rise, which is the senior building. I believe it's 117 units that is scheduled to open in September 2020. And then our building will come online right after that. But the entire choice initiative is a 7-year project. And so it is our hope that as that project is developed, then we will begin to see other aspects of the community beginning to do construction and bring other economic development in Russell.
My name is Jerry Martin. We're very involved in our Lifeline Committee, which one of our major initiatives is dealing with victims of human trafficking and human slavery. I just wondered whether you're running into, since some of these we're spending a lot of time in the West End and Portland dealing with victims. Rotary Club has provided financial support and volunteers to help Catholic Charities in their effort. And I wonder if that's something you're running into, and if by chance you've taken advantage of any of the programs that Catholic Charities has started out there.
We do run into it, but our practice is to refer individuals, knowing that we cannot be everything to everybody. And so we have a network of agencies that we refer residents to, where we feel that they are better equipped to handle those particular circumstances. But if you name it, we've seen it. All right, and so there are so many complex issues, and we have to rely on building strong partnerships to be able to meet the needs of so many that are challenged.
Hopefully Catholic Charities can be of some help to you.
Yes, sir, I believe so.
So we're still